I wish I was wearing a little Christmas hat as well, like just so I had something a bit more Christmassy in this video. So I've managed to put together a kind of first 5 minutes of gameplay. It kind of gives you an idea of what I'm aiming for. Shows a couple of the systems off at play. There's definitely a lot more work to be done to like polish and iterate on all the animations. There's a lovely bug that I've just noticed in the recording of this video where a character called Dave, who's the guy at the bar who's offering you jobs, midway through his conversations, he'll just stand up for no reason. I don't know why he's doing that. He doesn't have an animation to do that. So he's just supposed to be sat there looping an animation. But for some reason, when he hits the end of it, he'll just randomly stand up. I will fix that, but I have other things that are more important to fix first, so I'm going to do that first. There's also another fun bug, which is when you go into the Outlands, there's some characters there called vultures. They are supposed to be playing an animation where they kick a bucket. For some reason, they've decided that they're going to start playing the chair sit animation, so they're sitting in midair for some reason. Don't know why they're doing that. I will find out why. A lot of these systems, they're coming together nicely, but it's also the end of the year, so a couple of bugs are coming in as I'm trying to rush things to get it done. One of the big things has been getting the persistence layer sorted. So now we can load and save the game at different points. When you travel from place to place, it's actually doing an auto save as well. So just in case anything does happen, you're kind of saved. That was a fun one to solve. Don't recommend trying to figure that one out. Just use marketplace plugins. I ended up using a thing called Spud, which is great. It's open source. It's great. We've got this dialogue tree system, so I can now have like branching narratives and all these different things. I think right now I've got 4 different branches. I've got one if you go up to him for the first time, and then got the other one if you go up to him and you've accepted the quest and you don't have the item he's after. Got one where you do have the thing he's after, and then I've got another one where if you talk to him after you've picked up the item, maybe you've seen a body or you haven't seen a body out there in the wilds, and you know there's a whole conversation from that as well. I'm trying to make like these nice narrative branching things to sort of prove that you can do that, but also yeah, I just wanted to like fill it with a bit more content so I could actually, you know, flex out the whole thing and make sure it's all working as I'd expect before I go ahead and invest a load of time making more content. The other thing is the inventory. There's a UI tweak that needs to be done, like the whole thing, the polish. It's missing all of the nice finesse that comes with a nice UI artist, but for now you have my wonderful programmer art. So when you pick up the filter that's in one of those levels, it's a giant star because I don't have an asset for it. So I just wanted you to feel special when you pick that up. It's a star. You can heal yourself now with bandages. So if you get shot in the leg and you start bleeding, you can take a bandage and fix your leg, and so you can actually walk again. Otherwise, you'll be very, very slow and you'll be limping. The NPCs, they're not super smart. I've toned them down because they were kind of killing laser bots, which would just shoot you from a very long way away, and they were not fun to play against. So I've toned them down so much. I actually made their hearing really short, and if you see in the video, a little too short perhaps, because I was shooting a fully automatic rifle less than 100 meters from a guy and he just did not hear me. So definitely need to tweak that some more. The code's working, just the design needs to be, the design values need to be messed with. We've got this AI simulation layer, which is working quite nicely. At this point, if you accept a quest, you can tie like AI simulation events to it. So it will spawn in those characters in a certain area that you've defined, and they will move to it and they will do what objectives you've given them within it. So I think for now I've got like just a hold location. So the vultures will spawn in, they'll hold that location and they'll just stay there. I could do other things like capture objectives or capture areas, because I can put down positions in world and they will move to that place and they will capture it. So you might walk into a place and, you know, one faction is fighting over the other faction, and then they will try and steal an objective from one another. Honestly, right now the maps are too small for any of this stuff to really play out, but I've done it in test levels and it's really fun. So when I have time and, you know, the energy to make a giant map, I kind of want to do like that whole one of the levels from Stalker and just like kind of test out what it would look like if I had that kind of scale, and then just had a bunch of factions fighting each other. But in the future, not yet. It's so much effort just making all this as it is with the scale that it is. So yeah, the other thing, the more I've been looking into it, the end of this year, I really wanted to sort of like point to something and say like, okay, this but bigger. I've been wanting to get some like concept art made, but finding concept artists is proving quite difficult for me right now. So I'm probably going to hold off on that for the end of the year. The other thing as well is looking for funding in the new year. The ideas for this thing constantly keep growing, and I'm constantly having an internal battle with myself because part of me is like, yeah, we can make this huge, massive thing and like take on Bethesda. Sounds great and all, but the reality is it's a first project for a new team. What I've been thinking of doing is actually making a second small project with a massively reduced scope and just build that whole thing end to end and just ship it. My thinking for this is if I go out at the very beginning and make this ginormous game, it's going to take a lot of time, money, and people. I don't have lots of time, I don't have lots of money, and I don't have lots of people. What I do have is the ability to make a small, really polished game that I think I could probably sell for maybe 3, 4, maybe even £5, and just build a really nice experience with probably like an hour of gameplay. So when I first started making this project, the goal was to sort of get to a point where I can point to something and say, imagine this, but bigger. I think I'm kind of at that now. There's a few tweaks and polish and iteration that I need to do to like kind of get it to a place where I can finally say it's ready. It's helped me feel comfortable in building games of that size if I had the time, money, and people, which I just don't have. So yeah, that's probably what I'm planning on doing. The holiday, I'm gonna take a step back and think, you know, what is it that I need to build in order to make this studio a real thing? And then we'll go from there. It might be that in the new year I'll come back and say, you know what, we can actually build this. It's the right time. We can build it. I will bootstrap this somehow, and then we'll go from there. But it could also be that I make this smaller thing, get the ball rolling so we have some actual income coming into the studio, because right now it's pretty much all my savings. I don't want to put myself in too much financial risk by building a ginormous game out of the gate. So the very beginning of the demo, the character spawns in, so your player spawns in. You then walk over to this guy called Dave. You can do anything you want. You don't even have to talk to Dave. You can actually just leave at this point and the world will continue simulating. I think there's 4 characters in the world simulating at any one time right now, until you spawn in the vultures, and then there's, I think, another 8 simulating. So you have this conversation with Dave. He asks you to go out and find some CO2 scrubbers. They were supposed to be delivered to him by this guy. He never turned up. Once you've accepted this quest, several things happen. First, the AI is spawned in. They are told to go hold that objective. They will go hold that area and then do their thing. If you complete this mission and you don't kill them, they're going to continue to exist in the world, but they'll continue simulating and doing their own stories at that point. They'll no longer be holding that area. They'll be wandering around. The problem is they're hostile. So there's only 3 areas that they can wander in, and 2 of them are friendly. So if they walk into those areas, they could walk into the bar and then bad things will happen. So you pick up a gun from the cabinet behind you and then you go into the area. So again, we're transitioning across 2 different zones here. Each time it's doing a quick save. It's also loading in and unloading all the AI in different areas, but they're still continuing to simulate. I also added in this nice little stamina sound effect. So when your stamina drains to a certain point, it starts playing that lovely sound effect. And here I'm going to show you that wonderful bug where the character's sitting on a chair when they're not supposed to be. So I quickly take care of those. As I mentioned earlier, the AI have their hearing range. They didn't hear me from down that far away. So I need to fix that. That's something to change. One of the other things I added was this dynamic spawning system for the loot. There were 12 places that could have spawned in, and that was the first one I looked in, and it's just right there. So that was quite lucky. Anyway, so you picked up the giant gold star, which was the CO2 scrubber standard, and then you take that back to Dave. I'm just going to do a bit of talking now while Dave's in the background talking. That's basically where the project's at right now. It has all the little pieces. It just needs a lot more content and stuff to like fill the world with. I'm pretty happy with where I've got to, especially given I think it's in total 18 days now I've been working on this. I would like to spend a few more months to like really flesh this world out and add a lot more content and story. At the same time, because I'm trying to build this studio, I want to make sure we have money coming in so I can actually afford to pay everyone's salaries. Because right now it's just me. I'm fine being in that situation where we have no income coming in. But in reality, if I'm going to be building a game of the size of Tales from the Dome, I'm going to need to bring people in. And in order to bring people in, I need some money to do that. So what I'm going to do is, along with my contract work, I'm going to start building that smaller game and then get that in people's hands as quick as possible. I'm going to continue to grow the Discord channel, so I'll be sharing what I'm working on there. Also, if any of the things in the video you're curious of how I've built them, just ping me messages. I'll happily like point you to things that I've used or ideas for how I've built things. I won't directly be sharing the code because obviously I want to be making this into a real project. But I'll happily share like how I've built some of these things if that's of interest to people as well. But yeah, if you've been following since the very beginning of this project, thank you so much for sticking around. I told you I'd get something done before the end of the year. Given a couple of weeks more time, I will definitely have it in Steam so you can play it. One of the biggest things I have right now is a couple of those bugs. They're kind of painful. I just need to spend time and actually dig into it. I want to make sure the game's solid before I even put builds in people's hands. If you manage to stick all the way to the very end of this video, like, well done. Seriously, come join the Discord. I'm trying to be as transparent as I can on the whole process of building a game and a studio. See you all in the new year. I hope you have a good holiday. Yeah, that's it from me. See ya.